everyone. Hi. Good evening or night, depending on where you're at. And welcome to Fireside. And today we have my friend Ken on, who some of you know actually, and some of you are meeting today. But he is the owner of Radical Healer, and he does an amazing job. For about over a decade now, he's been healing. He started his journey, and I'll let him tell more, like his actual story. But he started his journey out of like caring and compassion and passion for others. And he ended up in a situation where someone he really cared about had gotten sick, and he was really trying to find alternative solutions to help them get better because they weren't. So in steps, Eastern medicine, right? And so he started his journey then and has been studying all kinds of modalities and practices ever since, and has so many clients and healing stories. It's amazing. And today he came with his emotion code, which this is all about how you heal emotionally to be able to heal your mind and body. And then hey Brandy, hi girl. So glad to see you. So he's going to go through this in more detail with us, and he's got all kinds of information to share with us, but it's all focused on your emotions and healing, right, Ken?
That is correct, Jessica. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Hey Paula, you got your own name on here. Way to go.
Hi,
Hi Paula.
Paula.
Oh, too funny. Okay, so tell us more about this, because I mean, I guess, we all know like how powerful the mind and the heart are, and in part of like our healing process. But oh, you're on YouTube. No wonder you're showing up. Well, congratulations, Paula. So, um, but tell us like how this is different, how this is connecting, and the healing and all these things you're going to share with us today.
Well, so if we take it down to the very core root of every disease that can happen to a human body, starts as an imbalance within your body. And it usually starts as a vibration or frequency imbalance in your body. And one of those ways those happen is a negative emotion that your body didn't process when it happened to you. There's other ways, of course, but we'll get into that. And that emotion sits in your body and just kind of grows, and it prevents you from healing or feeling the way that you would if you didn't have that in your body. And over time, that creates both mental and physical problems in your body.
So like a ulcer, like it just continues to fester and get bigger and bigger.
Well, so that's way past the emotional uh, and vibrational part that's stuck in your body. The ulcer is the end result of that.
Right.
So, if that emotion that caused that ulcer, stress is a big one, obviously, especially with ulcers. Actually, stress is the number one cause of emotional and physical problems in our body anyway. But when we can't process those emotions, that's what causes the physical problems. And the ulcer, when you get to a physical manifestation of a disease or something wrong with you, it's a long time coming from that emotional part that's stuck in your body.
Okay. So with this, it's not necessarily like it doesn't have to be like an extreme traumatic situation. It could be any emotion that just didn't process peacefully and get mentally dealt with.
Sure, certainly the bigger the trauma, the easier it is for that to happen. But let's just say there was an emotion that was not very strong, but it got trapped in your body. Either A, that particular emotion has already been trapped in your body from a different circumstance, or the body's already imbalanced in some way for that to get trapped now, which
Okay.
you could consider those to be the same thing. That a previous emotion, same emotion's already stuck in your body, or the imbalance itself is causing it to. So you can imagine when you start out young, you get these emotions that get trapped in your body, and every time that emotion comes, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Have you ever experienced anybody that maybe over exaggerated a particular incident that happened so bad they overreacted more than you think anybody should. Whatever that emotional trigger was a trigger for their body because they've experienced it so much and it compounded itself up to that point. Does that make sense?
No, you lost me. So when you said, is there anyone you know that exaggerated a story or a situation, you mean how they processed it? They processed something and it was like exaggerated in how they processed it?
No. So let's use despair as an example. I'm looking at a list of emotions over here. But let's say something happened. I don't know, maybe they got a speeding ticket or something like that. And they just came home and blew it way out of proportion. I can't believe this happened to me. I'm devastated, just really overreacted, for example. Well, it's because that particular incident or that trapped emotion's already stuck in their body and it's happened at least more than once. And it's built itself up at a cumulative until this particular moment. And that's why they overreacted to that incident. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So removing those emotions prior to this happening would have caused that to be a less of an explosive situation.
I was just thinking of like all the fire signs out there. Like, wait, there's tons of people that do that.
Is this a squirrel moment?
I don't know, but I was just like sitting there going like, wait, like, no, like there's fire signs that like, I mean, you know who I'm thinking of. And I'm like, no, since they were very little, they were very extreme. But I get the point though, like of what you're saying. It just made me think of that and how funny that is. Because like, I mean, even for myself, I can think of situations where back in the day, I might have responded extreme to it because it triggered something from the past or a fear from the past that it compounded.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Yes, that's exactly right. There's another, you haven't asked me, but there's another part of it called our heart wall. We've all heard of, pushing things down. Let's protect ourselves so our heart doesn't get hurt again and again and again. Well, that's a problem as well. If you build up a heart wall, and 93% of people have a heart wall, they're just there. But if you build up your heart wall strong enough, several things happen. I'll go over a couple of them anyway, but they are the main causes for anxiety and depression because our heart is not feeling the way it's supposed to. Our heart is designed to feel love and joy all the time. And we also get something called seeking heart energy. So if we're not feeling love and joy on a regular basis like we're supposed to, we're going to be out seeking things that make us feel good. And this is where addiction comes in. We're going to find anything that's giving us pleasure, and we're going to keep going after that because our heart wall is there and it's keeping us from feeling love and joy. So we're going to use whatever substance we find. And I'm using that word substance. We all know what I'm talking about. But anything that makes you feel good. Too much sugar, food, television, and we get into drugs and alcohol, all those things we're trying to feel. And because of our heart wall, we're not able to make those feelings. And so we continue to go back to these things that are not good for us. That's called seeking heart energy. And that's one of the first things that I do with somebody once they're committed to their own healing, because it controls everything.
Would this be, so how is this compared to shadow work?
Well, so all those things that heart wall is made from is from programming, childhood traumas, all those things that bring us up. And we can inherit things from, our ancestors and so forth. All those things play key into this. And once those things are all removed, that heart wall is then brought down. And there's other things like not only does we remove our heart wall, people can actually feel and experience what we're trying to say to them other than guessing or misunderstanding because they can feel it as well. Our heart puts out an energy about 12 feet out from our body, approximately. And we can all read that. If we all had cleared heart walls, we could read each other that way. So there's a lot to it.
So is it like shadow work?
Yes, you can. Yes. Okay. I'm just trying to give you examples, past traumas, inherited trapped emotions and so forth. Yes.
Then with that, so sorry, my back still itches from my tattoo work. Um, so from that, I guess like it would make me kind of go, okay, if I've got, so a lot of times like people have shadow work to go through as part of their healing, right? Like we know
Right.
this because we've done healing together and stuff. And when we're looking at that, like when you are doing these types of energies and these types of healings, they don't, do they go through and like, because some people will like take someone through the experience again, or some people will, depending on how they heal, you don't have to go through the experience again. So in this, how does that work?
Okay. Very, very good question. Because some people, well, they want to know what they're going to have to go through. So
Yes.
the way this process works is I can identify the emotion, I can identify the approximate age of when it happened, but I don't need to know what it was. It helps your body process if you can make a connection, but you don't have to relive it. And then I remove it right then and it's gone. You might
What
have to
if
process a little bit, but it goes away right away.
what if they don't know what the core is? They just aren't happy.
Well, they don't necessarily have to. I'll know whether they need to or not. And well, we'll just take them down the path until they do know what it is, or at least to the point where it's enough to remove it. Age, was it a family member, school, friend, whatever it takes to get there.
So they don't even have to know what it is or experience it or have the memory of it. You can identify it, confirm that there were these things that happened around these times, and kind of narrow down like the instance or the experience or the scar, if it, or whatever it is, depending on like not this life but past lives or ancestral. And then from there, what happens?
So let's say it was an ancestor that passed something down several generations. I'm not sure if this is what you're asking, but I'm going to tell you this part anyway.
Yeah.
If I remove that trapped emotion or frequency vibration from your body, it's still the same vibration for everybody from before and everybody you may have given it to, like your own children and their children. And it removes it from one person, it removes it from everybody.
Okay.
I don't
So
know
it
if
breaks
that's,
the chain.
it breaks the chain, yes. But I think the key, what you're trying to get at is I personally don't have to necessarily know what it is. Whether somebody remembers or not, it's not necessarily necessary. But if there needs to be some connection so the brain can process it, we can get there still without knowing what it was. So somebody doesn't have to relive the trauma to get rid of it.
How do you know?
How do I know what?
How do you know if they have to have a brain connection?
Because I'm asking their subconscious mind.
Thank you. So if when you go into the, I'm like digging this out of you. So when you go through this practice, what you're doing is you're talking to their higher self and their subconscious mind,
Yes,
and
yes,
that's how you're going through it.
yes. I apologize. I could have been a little more clear.
It was super funny.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we only have a couple minutes left before we go backstage. So, is there anything else we need to share with everyone before we go backstage and really dive into this?
I think the biggest thing is when somebody really wants to heal, they really need to be ready to get rid of what caused them to be who they are today.
Oh, I love that. That's so true. You really have to be ready and accept it.
Yeah.
Like not the thing, but to be ready to heal.
To really see the value and benefit from actually healing yourself.
Well, so we were talking about this with someone not too long ago, in the fact that it's the sacredity of it. So there's, when you finally make the decision to do anything, you are making that commitment wholeheartedly, your mind, body, and spirit. And it's very much like when you do certain things, like one of my classes, right? I drove all the way 6 hours there and 6 hours back um, for an initiation, right? Because there was a sacredness to it. But it was really important that you honored that healing practice. And I think that that's true with all practices, spiritually, healing, ritual, whatever it is. You have to actually put in the effort and want it, because this kind of stuff is not easy. I mean, yeah, you make it a lot easier, right? You're like, here, these are the steps, this is how we're going to do it. But the reality is you're going to experience change. You're going to, and you have to commit to the growth and change in order to experience the change and be willing to go through that journey.
Right. Either do it this lifetime or the next.
Yeah. And who wants to keep living the same thing over and over and over again?
Right.
Yeah.
But the improvement in someone's life today is really the biggest thing that we all think about right now. But it can go that much farther. And it changes the way your outlook on life, changes the way you interact with people, it changes the way you feel about money. I mean, all these things can be taken care of.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
it changes your life for the better.
Right. Oh, Brandy. So Brandy brings up a good point. By the way, hi Stephanie. Welcome back, Paula. Hey there, Joy.
Hey, Stephanie.
So Brandy says, but sometimes you don't remember the trauma. And she says, I just wanted to point that out, but you can still heal. And
That's
I'll let
correct.
him talk on that. But yeah, that's why he works with your higher self and your unconscious mind, so that you're able to actually not have to deal with any of that. Go ahead.
Subconscious mind.
What did I say?
Unconscious.
Unconscious. I like that.
It's funny.
It is funny. Um, anyways, go ahead. You can explain, give your words.
Oh no, that was it. Yeah, it is the subconscious mind that communicate, and it directs us down a path until we get to where we need to be, so we have the ability to release that issue.
Yeah. So you don't have to know the trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Awesome. Let's everyone, we're going to go backstage. So thank you everyone for watching. Those of you who are part of Fireside, hop on over to our Zoom. We're going to go backstage, and Ken is going to share so much more with us and actually go into detail and show you how you can do this yourself. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Goodbye. Oh, before we end, let me just say one more thing. I'm so sorry. You can find Ken at Radical Healer, and as usual, I will post all of his information at the end of the day. Bye.